everybody. This is Sophia Nelson, founder of the Redefining Freedom Center, Virginia. I wanted to come on and talk with you on this week's podcast about the horrible events of this past week. We all know that Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, a 31-year-old man, husband, father of 2 children, was violently murdered on a college campus in Utah this past week. It was an ugly, horrific event that shocked a nation. Whether you are conservative or liberal, Republican or Democrat, whatever your persuasion, we must all be outraged and we must all condemn acts of political violence. There simply is no place for this in American life. And yet we know we've been down this road before. One only has to look back to the 1960s, the decade that I was born in, towards the very end of the turbulent decade that really was a turning point for our nation, both for better and for worse. I want to encourage all of us to pick up the mantle of civil discourse. Now, many of you who follow me and know my story know that for me, this is a deeply personal issue around free speech. But before I get to that, I want to remind you of something that everyone keeps asking, well, what do we do? What's the way forward? How do we fix this? We fix this by remembering our credo. Our most basic credo as Americans was written by a Virginian, Thomas Jefferson, on July 4th, 1776. He wrote these words: "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Let's stop. All men are created equal. Folks, all means all. It means everyone, whether they are a Muslim or a Jew, a Christian or a Catholic, whether they are straight or gay, married or single, childless or have been blessed with a dozen children, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, black, white, indigenous, South Asian, whatever you are in this country, freedom is for all Americans. It is something that is sacrosanct to why the men who founded this country and put their lives at risk for treason against the crown broke free. Remember how this country began. It began in rebellion to an authoritarian, out of control, angry, violent king who thought he could send his troops into people's homes and communities, starting in Boston, Massachusetts, and in other places in the 13 colonies. It started with tariffs and taxes on things that people relied on for their day-to-day pleasure and survival. Tea. Do not forget how we began. And do not forget that the way forward is for us to remember that all of us are equal, not just some, not just the rich, not just the male, not just the white, but all. And until we ingest and digest that truth, we're going to continue to struggle. I'm wearing today Annapolis, a sweatshirt from our great Naval Academy here in the United States. And the week was so horrible and so tumultuous with the murder of Charlie Kirk and the murder of the young woman on the train. The Ukrainian young woman who came here for a better way of life was stabbed to death on a train. And no one helped her. No one jumped that man. In my father's day, that man would have been beaten unconscious by other men. They would have stepped in. We've become cold. We've become callous. We've become hateful and unkind. And it starts when somebody who we don't agree with or somebody that says something we don't like, we decide to look the other way when they become persecuted and they get attacked, and it's overkill. and we get desensitized and we say, well, that has nothing to do with me, so I'm going to stay out of it. I'm wearing this sweatshirt today with Annapolis, our great Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, because it too came under attack this week. Gun violence. As reporters are reporting on the shooting in Denver with the school children in high school, more dead high school kids, the Annapolis shooting was happening. And as that was happening, our nation's historically Black colleges and universities were on lockdown, all of them, or at least a great number of them. From Virginia, we had Hampton and Virginia State on lockdown. In Georgia, you had Spelman, you had Morehouse, you had Clark Atlanta. In Louisiana, you had Southern, where I gave a commencement address just a few years ago. This was a horrible, horrible week for American democracy and for this republic. It seems like we're coming apart at the seams. And that's because we've stopped talking and we've stopped listening, and we've made people that don't share our view of the world or our politics or our faith the enemy. And that is not the way of this country. That is not how this country was established. That is not how this republic has continued to do what? Be a more perfect union. I am a direct descendant of slaves on both sides of my family tree, both of my parents. Direct. Can trace my ancestry, know the names, know the plantations, know everything. I've written about this many times. And I love this country. And I don't like seeing it rip itself apart. I want to talk a little bit about Charlie Kirk because I think it's important. I did not share any of his views. I did not like his viewpoints on Black women in particular, of which I am one. He thought we were dumb. We were DEI. We didn't earn anything, and we were taking what belonged to white people. Don't believe me, Google it. It's all there. He was very unabashed about his views. Said he wouldn't fly on a plane if there was a Black pilot. Said he didn't want to go into an emergency room or be serviced by a Black doctor. That's not bringing people together, folks. That's racism. That's ugly. It's unkind. It's cruel. It's hateful. And it's just not true. But beyond me not liking his politics or his political view, he had a right to feel safe on a college campus in this country, sitting under his tent where he invites people in to talk with him and to ask him questions, and he will dialogue back and forth. That's a good thing. Whether we agree with him or like him, or whether we think he was a racist or a misogynist or whatever words we hurl at one another now. The point is, he had a right not to lose his life for speaking those views. As odious and disgusting and vile as the Klan is, the Ku Klux Klan, in this country, they have a right to assemble and do their little marches through the street. That's the great test and the great struggle and the great strength of this republic. We don't have to agree. We can call racism, racism. We can call sexism, sexism. We can call anti-bias, whatever it is, against whatever group, what it is, and feel safe that if we question, if we prod, if we poke, if we stand up and scream at the top of our lungs, as long as we don't lay our hands on somebody, as long as we don't start burning buildings and attacking government facilities and doing things that bring harm or threats of violence or danger to other human beings, we are free in this country, of all the countries on this earth, to do that without reprisal, without fear, without worry. That is not who we are becoming. We are down the road to fascism and authoritarianism. Those are strong words. And as a professor and as a scholar, and as someone who's written books on our great Constitution, our founding, I don't use those words lightly. You know, there's a lot going on about whose fault this is. How did we get here? Whose fault is it? The left did it. The right did it. The white folks did it. The Black folks did it. That's the wrong answer. It's all of our fault. It's all of our fault because we refuse to hold each other accountable for those deeds that were wrong in the past and correct them so that we go into a better and a brighter future. Redefining freedom. Well, what does that mean, Sophia? It means we live in the 21st century. We are the most diverse nation on the face of this earth. This great experiment is in trouble because we've forgotten how we began, why we began, and what our mission has been for almost 250 years next July 4th, 2026. We need to reimagine. We need to build bridges in our communities, in our churches, on our college campuses, of most of all, on those campuses. Campuses aren't these places of indoctrination of the liberal left, as everybody says. Oh, yes. Firsthand experience here about cancel culture and about free speech. No one anywhere, particularly not a professor and a new scholar, should be attacked and reviled and have a petition put out against them and have nasty things sent to their homes. People sent a box of feces to my house. They threatened my life over and over again. The nasty letters, the hate mail. It was despicable because somebody didn't like a question that I asked about an inanimate cartoon character. You can't make it up. It did great damage to my life, not to mention my emotional state and that of my family and my loved ones and the people that care about me and that are connected to me. I lost financial opportunities. My resources were, if not depleted, severely compromised. I was a scourge. No one wanted to be near me. I was someone that was a danger and a threat and made people feel unsafe because I asked a question and offered dialogue and looked for it and wanted it, want to learn, want to hear from the other side, want to be heard. And so now what's happened is those who felt that the left was indoctrinating them with diversity, equity, inclusion, transgender rights, LGBTQ rights, and whatever, what have you. They felt silenced. They felt put upon. They feared for their jobs. They feared for their safety and their well-being. They weren't allowed to exercise a certain amount of speech or whatever, because if they did, they would be put out and be deemed unsafe or a racist or a homophobe or whatever. And now the pendulum has swung that way. And now the tables are reversed. And now the people who felt put upon and who felt their speech was being stolen and compromised now are doing the exact same thing to the people they didn't like. You see where this ends us up? It ends us up with murdered people. It ends us up with dead Americans. It ends us up with hatred and tribalism and viciousness, and it has to stop. People have been saying this is not who we are. I beg to differ. This is who we are. In this moment, this is exactly who we are. And only we can change it. I'm committed. This center is committed to building those bridges, whether it's globally, in our local communities, in our churches, in our colleges, in our corporations. We can't run away from diversity, equity, and inclusion, folks, because that's America. E pluribus unum, out of many one. It is the original diversity, equity, and inclusion motto. 1780, Charles Thompson comes up with that. In the city of brotherly love of Philadelphia. You need to start learning your history. You need to really understand how your country was formed, its strengths, its weaknesses, its sins, and its virtues. And when we talk about it, and when we talk to each other, when we open up and we listen and we respect and we hear, we do not have to agree. And yes, I've seen the memes, racism is not a viewpoint. Actually, it really is. It is. It's a viewpoint that somebody's less than me. It's a viewpoint that I'm better than. It's a eugenics is my race is superior to yours. And unless we talk about that and dare to take it down and confront it and challenge it civilly, it will continue to infect tens of millions of our fellow citizens. We're going to have to do the work. Being on social media and tweeting and posting and saying nasty things and thumb thugging and thinking that you can just do this and say something that you would never say in person, that's only making it worse. I don't know much about this shooter that killed Charlie Kirk. I'm grateful to his father. I can't imagine what a parent would go through to have to turn in their own child. But he did, and it was the right thing. I do know we're in a dark place. I do know that our leaders are not stepping up to this moment. The governor of Utah, Governor Cox, he got off some good words, but he also got off some really stupid words when he talked about he was hoping it was somebody else and not one of us. Who's one of us? Who's us? Who's them? This is America. It's about all of us. We're going to have to dig in and we're going to have to do better. And we're going to have the courage to listen and to ask the hard question and not be shut down, not be thrown out of our jobs. This stuff that the Secretary of Defense is talking about, he's policing military personnel, social media, and if they criticize Charlie Kirk, they're going to get put out. Are you kidding me? Charlie Kirk was not a military hero. He was not a government official. He was not an elected official. He was not an appointed official. He was a podcaster. He was a civilian with a lot of opinions, with an organization, and he was an influencer, without a doubt. He was a wealthy individual. He made a lot of money doing what he did, and that's America. That's capitalism. I'm all for it. What I'm not for is censorship. What I'm not for is running people out of their jobs. What I'm not for is destroying people's lives and reputations because you don't like something they said, or you don't like something they asked, or your feelings got hurt. That's mob rule. That's not American rule. And I have lived it, so I'm not talking pie in the sky. I know it's like to be banned from television for a while, to be banned from columns, to be banned from speaking, to be deemed a pariah for doing absolutely nothing wrong but exercising my God-given, unalienable free speech rights in this country. I didn't call anybody a name. I didn't condemn anybody. I didn't say anything that was violent to anybody. I asked a question about parents' rights in a comic book and whether or not they give it to their children. And if they do, how do they explain it to them? How does it work with their faith and their values? That should be allowed in this country, and that should be encouraged without me being mobbed on and jumped on and wrecked by a bunch of faculty who had a really bad agenda and then worked up some students to do their dirty work for them. It's all there. Google it. I'm over it, but I'm going to learn from it. And I've built something from it. And what they meant for evil, I'm going to use for good. Because that's what we do in this country. We are a resilient people. We are a people that gets back up. We are a people that rises when our enemies try to take us down. And we are not each other's enemies. We do have enemies, and we are not paying attention to Russia and to China and to North Korea and others, Iran, that want to do us harm, that want us wiped off the face of this earth. I'm going to build bridges. I'm going to be one of the helpers, as Mr. Rogers used to say. Ask yourself who you want to be. You want to be a divider, or you want to be a uniter? You want to be a helper, or you want to hurt? That's what this comes down to, folks. This isn't hard stuff. So I'm asking you to join me in this. Come work with me. Come build bridges with me. We need your help here at the Redefining Freedom Center, Virginia. We're new, but we're doing great things. We're building great partnerships. And I am excited about next January 2026 as we start the countdown to America 250 and Virginia 250. And my new book that'll come out sometime in the spring. We don't have an exact release date yet, but I'm thinking April probably is that hard stop. So I'm finishing it up now, and we're very excited about this book. It's going to be a roadmap and a plan to helping us reimagine who we are at 250 years of age. May God bless you. May God bless us, and may God bless the United States of America.